What happens when a trash-talking MMA fighter challenges a 68-year-old man who moves like he's doing morning stretches in the park? Welcome back to Tales of Wonder. If you enjoy stories about unexpected heroes, shocking showdowns, and the kind of karma that hits harder than a knockout punch, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a story. Now, let's begin today's story. The community center on Maple Street had seen better days. The paint peeled in long strips from the walls. The fluorescent lights flickered with a persistent buzz, and the wooden floor bore the scars of decades of shuffling feet, dropped weights, and spilled water bottles. But to the neighborhood, it was sacred ground. This was where kids learned discipline, where adults found purpose, and where traditions quietly survived in a world that seemed to forget them faster every year. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening, Master Chong occupied the smaller studio in the back corner. While the main gym echoed with the aggressive grunts of kickboxers and the rhythmic thud of gloves hitting heavy bags, Master Chong's space remained an island of tranquility. Soft instrumental music drifted from a decades-old CD player as 12 students moved through Tai Chi forms with the unhurried grace of clouds drifting across a summer sky. Master Chong was 68 years old, though his posture made him seem taller than his 5'7" frame. His silver hair was always neatly combed back, and he wore the same simple black cotton uniform to every class. His movements were so fluid they seemed almost liquid, each gesture flowing seamlessly into the next like water, finding its path down a mountain. His voice never rose above a conversational tone, yet every word carried weight. "Feel the energy rising from the earth," he would say, demonstrating a movement called cloud hands. "Do not force. Invite. The body knows the way if the mind stops shouting directions." His students range from college kids seeking stress relief to retirees managing arthritis. None of them came for combat training. They came for peace, for balance, for the way Master Chong made them feel centered in an increasingly chaotic world. In the main gym, a very different energy dominated. Carlos, the Mauler Davidson, was 32 years old and built like a sculpture dedicated to human intimidation. At 6'3" and 225 pounds of competition-ready muscle, Carlos commanded attention the moment he walked into any room. His record stood at 18-3 in professional MMA, with 12 of those wins coming by knockout. He'd fought on televised cards, had sponsors whose logos covered his gym bag, and possessed the kind of confidence that tipped past self-assurance and landed firmly in arrogance territory. Carlos trained with a crew of equally aggressive fighters, and their sessions were loud, intense, and designed to attract attention. They'd blast hip-hop at volumes that made the walls vibrate, shout encouragement that sounded more like threats, and frequently film their workouts for social media, flexing and talking trash to invisible opponents. That's what I'm talking about. Carlos would roar after landing a particularly vicious combination on the heavy bag. Nobody wants this smoke. Nobody. For months, the two worlds coexisted in the community center with minimal interaction. Master Chong's students arrived through the back in trance, practiced in their quiet corner, and left through the same door. Carlos and his crew dominated the main space, rarely acknowledging the old people doing slow-motion exercises in the back room. But tension, like water, always finds a crack. It started on a humid Thursday evening in late September. Carlos had just finished a brutal sparring session and was riding high on adrenaline and the applause of his training partners. As he strutted toward the water fountain, towel around his neck and swagger in his step, he passed by the open door of Master Chong's studio. Inside, Master Chong was demonstrating a technique called push hands with one of his students, a gentle, flowing exercise where two people maintain contact while sensing each other's energy and balance. To the untrained eye, it looked like two people swaying in slow motion, barely touching. Carlos stopped, stared, then laughed, a loud, mocking bark that cut through the soft music. "Yo, you guys having a slow dance competition in there?" he called out, loud enough for everyone in both rooms to hear. A few of his training partners gathered behind him, grinning. Master Chong paused, acknowledged Carlos with a slight nod, and returned to his instruction without a word. The lack of reaction seemed to irritate Carlos more than any comeback would have. "Nah, seriously though," Carlos continued, emboldened by his audience. "What is that? Exercise for people who can't actually exercise? My grandma moves faster than that, and she's got 2 hip replacements." Some of Master Chong's students glanced at their teacher, waiting for his response. Master Chong simply smiled, a small, patient expression, and redirected his students' attention back to their practice. "Let us continue," he said softly. "External noise is temporary. Inner peace is cultivation." Carlos shook his head with exaggerated disbelief. "Man, that's not martial arts. That's interpretive dance. You want to see real martial arts? Come watch us actually train." He walked away laughing, his crew joining in, their voices echoing through the community center. Over the following weeks, the mockery escalated. Carlos started timing his water breaks to coincide with Master Chong's classes. He'd lean against the doorframe, arms crossed, making exaggerated slow-motion movements and whispering loud enough for everyone to hear. "Feel the energy. Invite the chi. Breathe through your chakras." His training partners found it hilarious. Master Chong's students found it humiliating. Several asked their teacher why he didn't confront Carlos, why he didn't defend their practice, and why he didn't at least ask him to stop. "A tree does not argue with the wind," Master Chong would reply. "It bends and remains rooted. The wind passes, the tree remains." But even ancient wisdom has its limits when confronted with modern disrespect. The breaking point came on a Friday evening when Carlos was filming content for his social media. He'd set up his phone on a tripod in the main gym and was recording himself shadowboxing, talking trash to the camera about his upcoming fight. "You know what the problem is with martial arts today?" Carlos said, breathing hard, throwing sharp combinations. "Too many people calling themselves martial artists who've never thrown a real punch. Dancing around, talking about energy and balance, but they wouldn't last 10 seconds in an actual fight." He turned, pointing deliberately toward Master Chong's studio, where the door was open and class was in session. "I mean, look at that right there. 70-year-old dude teaching people to move in slow motion. That's not martial arts. That's mall walking with fancy names. I could literally close my eyes and beat anyone in that class without breaking a sweat." He laughed, his training partners laughed, and the video went live on his Instagram to thousands of followers within minutes. By the time Master Chong's class ended that evening, several students had seen the video. They showed it to their teacher, expecting anger, expecting him to finally stand up for himself, for them, for their practice. Master Chong watched the video in silence, his expression unreadable. When it finished, he handed the phone back and began collecting the training mats with the same calm deliberation he brought to everything. "Master Chong," said Rebecca, one of his longest attending students, "you can't just let him say those things. He's disrespecting everything we do here, everything you've taught us." Master Chong folded the last mat and placed it in the storage closet. When he turned back to his students, his eyes held something they rarely saw. Not anger, but clarity of purpose. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "the only response to ignorance is demonstration. Words convince the mind. Experience changes the heart." The following Tuesday, Carlos was mid-workout when he noticed Master Chong standing at the entrance to the main gym. It was the first time the old man had voluntarily left his studio to enter Carlos's domain. The music was turned down. Training stopped. Everyone sensed something significant was about to happen. Carlos pulled out his earbuds, a cocky grin spreading across his face. "Well, well, to what do we owe the honor, Master Chong? Come and show us some slow-motion moves." Master Chong's expression remained neutral, almost peaceful. "I have come with a proposal," he said, his voice carrying clearly despite its softness. "You have made many claims about the inadequacy of my teaching and the weakness of traditional martial arts. I suggest we test your hypothesis." The gym went silent. Carlos's grin widened. Are you challenging me to a fight, old man?" "I am proposing a demonstration," Master Chong corrected. "Not a fight. A demonstration of principle. You may attempt to strike me, using your full training and ability, for 60 seconds. If you succeed in landing a solid blow, I will acknowledge publicly that your assessment of Tai Chi is correct, and I will close my classes at this center." The silence deepened. Everyone pulled out their phones. Carlos looked around at his crew, at the growing audience, at the perfect social media moment unfolding before him. "And when I do land a hit, which, let's be real, will take about 5 seconds, what do you want?" "An apology," Master Chong said simply. "To my students, for the disrespect shown to their practice and their dedication." Carlos laughed. "Deal. But I'm not going to go easy on you just because you're old. You're asking for this." "I am aware," Master Chong replied. "Shall we begin?" They cleared a space in the center of the main gym. Someone set a timer on their phone for 60 seconds. Carlos's entire crew had their cameras out, already imagining the viral video of their leader demolishing the arrogant old man who'd finally pushed too far. Carlos bounced on the balls of his feet, loosening his shoulders. Master Chong simply stood still, feet shoulder-width apart, hands relaxed at his sides, breathing calmly. "You ready, Grandpa?" Carlos taunted. Master Chong gave the smallest nod. Someone shouted, "Go!" Carlos exploded forward with a straight right punch, a shot that had dropped opponents in the cage, thrown with bad intentions and full power. Master Chong shifted his weight almost imperceptibly. The punch sailed past his face by millimeters, disturbing his hair but connecting with nothing but air. Before Carlos could reset, Master Chong's hand made contact with Carlos's extended elbow. Not a strike, just a gentle redirect of momentum. Carlos stumbled forward, thrown off balance by his own power. Whoa! Carlos spun and threw a left hook. Master Chong swayed backward, the arc of the punch passing harmlessly in front of his face. As Carlos's body rotated, Master Chong stepped slightly to the side, and suddenly Carlos was punching at space, his own rotation carrying him in a circle. The crowd murmured. Carlos reset, frustration creeping into his expression. He faked a jab and threw a leg kick, a devastating blow that could crumple an opponent's lead leg. Master Chong lifted his foot 6 inches. The kick passed underneath. As Carlos's leg extended, Master Chong gently pushed his shoulder. Not hard, just a precise application of force at the exact moment Carlos was most off balance. Carlos's supporting leg buckled, and he dropped to one knee. "Lucky," Carlos muttered, rising quickly. But it wasn't luck, and everyone watching was beginning to realize it. For the next 40 seconds, Carlos unleashed everything in his arsenal. Jabs, crosses, uppercuts, body shots, leg kicks, even a spinning back fist that would have made his highlight reel if it had connected. Every single strike missed. Not by much. Master Chong never made dramatic, exaggerated movements. His evasions were minimal, efficient, almost invisible until you realized the punch that should have connected had somehow found only air. More impressive was what Master Chong did while evading. Each time Carlos missed, Master Chong's hands would make brief contact. A touch on the shoulder, a redirect at the elbow, a slight push at the hip, and each touch would amplify Carlos's mistakes. His own power worked against him. His own momentum betrayed him. He'd throw a combination that should have overwhelmed any defense, and somehow he'd end up 3 feet away, off balance, punching at nothing. The crowd's silence shifted from anticipation to awe. With 15 seconds left, Carlos was breathing hard, not from exertion, but from the psychological realization that was crashing over him like cold water. This wasn't luck. This wasn't trickery. This was a skill on a level he couldn't even properly comprehend. He threw one final desperate combination, left jab, right cross, left hook, putting everything he had into the sequence. Master Chong moved between the strikes like smoke. As the final hook sailed past, he gently placed his palm flat against Carlos's chest. Not a strike, just contact, and pushed with what looked like minimal force. Carlos stumbled backward 4 steps and sat down hard on the gym mat. The timer went off. 60 seconds. 0 contact. The gym exploded in shocked exclamation. Phones had captured every second. Carlos's crew stood frozen, unable to process what they'd just witnessed. Master Chong's students, who had quietly filed in to watch, wore expressions of vindication mixed with pride. Carlos sat on the floor, chest heaving, staring up at the old man who hadn't even broken a sweat. Master Chong extended his hand. Carlos looked at it for a long moment, pride warring with reality. Finally, he took it, and Master Chong helped him to his feet. "I don't. How did you?" Carlos struggled for words. "Tai Chi is not slow because it is weak," Master Chong said quietly, his voice carrying in the silent gym. "It is slow in practice, so that precision becomes instinct. The flower grows slowly, so its roots go deep. You have trained your body to be powerful. This is admirable, but power without precision is a hammer swinging in the dark." Carlos nodded slowly, something fundamental shifting in his expression. The cockiness was gone. In its place was something rare and valuable, genuine respect. "Your students," Master Chong continued, "they deserve your apology. Not for losing, for disrespecting their journey before you understood what they were walking toward." Carlos turned to face Master Chong's students, many of whom were recording the aftermath. His face flushed, but he didn't look away. "I'm sorry," he said, and his voice carried none of its usual bravado. "I was ignorant, and I was disrespectful. I judged something I didn't understand, and I mocked people who were working hard at something real. That was wrong. I am sorry." The apology hung in the air, and after a moment, several of Master Chong's students nodded acceptance. Master Chong placed a hand on Carlos's shoulder. The strongest warrior is one who can admit when he has learned. You are welcome to visit my class anytime. Not to mock, to learn. Carlos let out a breath that seemed to release weeks of tension. I might take you up on that. Over the following weeks, something unexpected happened. Carlos didn't just visit Master Chong's Tai Chi class. He became a regular student. He showed up in a simple uniform, moved through the forms with the same beginner's awkwardness as everyone else, and listened to Master Chong's gentle corrections with focused attention. His social media content changed too. He posted a video explaining what had happened, showing footage of the demonstration, and giving a genuine account of his own ignorance. I thought I knew what martial arts were, he told his followers. Turns out I knew one small piece of a much bigger picture. Stay humble, stay learning. The video went even more viral than his trash talk had, but for better reasons. The community center became a different place. Carlos's crew started showing up to some of Master Chong's classes, their loud energy gradually mellowing into focused discipline. Master Chong's students, emboldened by their teacher's quiet victory, began visiting the main gym to try light sparring and conditioning work. The two worlds that had existed separately started to blend, creating something richer than either had been alone. 6 months later, Carlos stood in the locker room before his next professional fight, going through his pre-fight ritual. But something was different. Instead of blasting aggressive music and psyching himself up with shouted affirmations, he stood in quiet meditation, running through Tai Chi forms he'd learned from Master Chong. His coach watched with raised eyebrows. You good, champ? Carlos opened his eyes and smiled. Better than good. I just realized something Master Chong told me months ago. What's that? Carlos wrapped his hands methodically, each movement precise and unhurried. He said the difference between a fighter and a martial artist is that a fighter trains to win. A martial artist trains to understand. Once you understand, winning becomes simpler. That night, Carlos won his fight in the second round with a counter-striking performance his commentators called unusually patient and precise for his style. Where he used to rush forward with aggressive combinations, he learned to wait, to read, to move efficiently rather than powerfully. After the fight, in his post-match interview, the reporter asked about his changed fighting style. Carlos smiled, a genuine expression, not the cocky grin he used to wear. I learned from someone I once disrespected, he said, looking directly into the camera. He taught me that the quietest teacher in the room might be the one with the most to say. Sometimes the greatest strength looks like softness, and sometimes the person you think knows nothing can teach you everything. The reporter seemed confused, but Carlos's followers understood. The video of the demonstration had been viewed millions of times. But the real lesson, the one that couldn't be captured on camera, lived in the way Carlos moved through the world now. Less arrogance, more awareness. Still powerful, but precise. Still confident, but humble enough to keep learning. Master Chong watched the fight from his living room, nodded once with satisfaction, and returned to his evening tea. After all, a tree doesn't need recognition for providing shade. It simply does what trees do, and those who need the shade find it. But here's the part that truly shocked everyone who thought they knew the full story. 3 years later, when Carlos retired from professional fighting, he didn't become a commentator or open a big commercial gym, as everyone expected. Instead, he certified as a Tai Chi instructor, opened a small studio, and began teaching the very practice he'd once mocked. His classes filled quickly, partly because of his celebrity, but mostly because he taught with the same dedication and humility he'd learned from Master Chong. The day his studio opened, Master Chong was there, standing quietly in the back of the room. When Carlos finished teaching his first class, the old master approached and bowed, a gesture of respect between equals. Carlos returned the bow, tears in his eyes. I spent years learning how to hurt people, Carlos said. You taught me in 60 seconds that there was something more important to learn. Master Chong smiled. What was that? How to listen. The soft answer echoed in the quiet studio, more powerful than any punch Carlos had ever thrown. And somewhere, someone watching the video of that original demonstration finally understood. The most devastating technique in martial arts isn't a knockout punch. It's the ability to make someone see themselves clearly. That hits harder than any strike ever could. Have you ever judged someone or something without truly understanding it, only to later discover you were completely wrong? What changed your perspective? If this story made you think twice about quick judgments and hidden wisdom, smash that like button and drop a comment sharing your own "I was wrong" moment. We all have them, and they're often our best teachers. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss these incredible true stories that remind us why staying humble matters. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.